You're listening to Guitar Talk with Dave and John.
Hey everybody, welcome back to Guitar Talk. I'm Dave.
And I am John.
And together we are Guitar Talk with Dave and John. So today, let's discuss, right out of the gate, had a gig last night.
Giddy
Fun
up.
gig, acoustic gig. 3 people. We just basically sang a ton of 3-part harmonies. It was like Harmony
Wow.
Central.
Isn't
the
that
website.
I was going to say that's a review site for gear.
Yeah, that's what it was. We just all got up there and talked shit about gear. No, it was great. It was we harmonized on a bunch of songs, Baby Come Back and Diamond Girl by Seals and
Followed by
Crofts.
Baby
Lots of
Love
fun.
Me. How much
What's
Eddie
that?
money how much Eddie money did you do?
We've done 0 Eddie money.
Oh, you're really missing out.
Yeah. Would have been fun.
What is the what is this? I heard a song from him the other day and I was like, "Ooh, I haven't heard that one in a long time."
I don't know.
Something about heaven, I think, maybe.
So anyway, it was a great show. We had a lot of fun. And then I went home and I watched a bunch of Uncle Doug videos.
And by Uncle Doug videos, you mean porn?
Well, isn't that what we call it, Uncle Doug? No.
Basically.
No, so Uncle Doug has some pretty cool videos that I was watching recently. Once where he reconed a speaker. One where he bought like an old PA type of amplifier and turned it into an amplifier. And then one where he fixed a Princeton, I believe, that was in a fire.
Mm.
And then a deluxe reverb that he worked on. And the Princeton he worked on, I mean, he really knows his stuff, and his humor is pretty dry and funny. He always puts me to sleep, and I don't mean that in a bad way, but he gets so technical into it. But I love his videos.
The soothing voice, the soothing baritone of Uncle Doug.
Yeah, and I was like watching his video, and then today I was listening to, do you remember the album by Raul Malo, the singer for the Mavericks? He had an album called The Lucky One.
Is that the one that Paul Maher was all about?
Yes, and the album's fantastic.
Yeah, I don't know it. I remember you guys going on and on about it. But
I recommend it to everybody. If you're a Roy Orbison fan and you like that vibey Tex-Mex southwestern feel, you got to check out Raul Malo. He was the singer for the Mavericks. The album is called The Lucky One. There's a song on it called Crying for You, and the second verse is actually, after the chorus, is a guitar playing it with a little bit of tremolo and clean. And I just picture it being like an old Gretsch into a Princeton. That's what it sounds like to me.
Cool.
So now, after hearing that today, I'm kicking myself going, I don't want to expend the money without selling something. So I'm either going to sell an amp behind me, one of the Marshalls, or I'm going to sell one of my guitars or 2 of them that I just don't play. Maybe the 2 Fenders that I don't play, Strats. And I want to buy maybe a vintage sound amp Princeton 20, which is a 20-watt version of the Princeton with a 17-inch reverb pan. It's just like a nicer version of it. And I've just been thinking about it. And it was either that, a buddy of mine has a PR12 by Morgan.
Right.
But I believe his was one of the prototypes. The guy that I know has a prototype of, who's the artist that he makes a signature of that model?
Is it Josh Smith, I think?
I think you're right, Josh Smith. So he has the Josh Smith, the one that was made for the NAMM show when he first did his first.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. And it's nice. I just don't know, because it's a 12-watt, as opposed to the 20-watt, which I could probably do more gigs, although I'm sure it's loud enough. Now, recently you've started working.
It's a loud 12 watts.
Yeah.
Yeah, I've played it. The The Josh Smith has a has a different speaker in it from the regular PR12. The PR12 has a greenback in it, and according to Joe, the reason he put a greenback in it is to basically tame it down and keep it sounding low watt because people want to play that sort of thing in their bedroom.
Right.
He said for somebody that wants to play with a drummer, the JS12 is a more appropriate amplifier. It's louder. It's got a more efficient speaker. It's also got a built-in boost, which is kind of neat.
Yeah. Well, I mean, I think Morgan makes great amps. I also think Vintage Sound Amps makes a great amp. And
I've never heard the Vintage Sound one. I would like to.
I've just been thinking about it because I love that Princeton sound. And it's a 12-inch speaker on it. I believe the Morgan is also 12.
Yeah.
Or is it
No, it's a 12.
Yeah, okay, that's what I thought.
I remember right after we talked about this, walking into Ron Moreno's office at G&L and seeing one sitting there on his rolling cart and thinking like, boy, that's ironic.
Yeah.
But I've never heard one before.
Have you gotten that G&L yet?
No, not yet.
Oh, okay, they're still building it.
Yeah. It's I talked to him the other day and he said that it's in the production line somewhere. I don't know. He was going to get back. He was going to get back to me. I haven't heard yet, but I'm sure it's close. But if it's anything like my last experience with custom ordering a G&L, I think we talked about that before. Oh yeah, it's coming. We never got the order.
So this came in the other day for me.
Ooh.
My Warmoth neck that I'm putting on my Rebel Relic with the boat neck V.
What material is that one?
It's maple on maple.
Okay.
But I had them do the satin nitro.
Is it quarter sawn, straight, bird's eye, AAA?
I think it's just
we got a lot of
straight.
options at Warmoth.
No, it was already a pre-made.
Okay.
All I had to do was tell them what frets, what finish to put on it, and get it the hell out of here. What nut to put on it.
So for a fret wire, 6100 stainless?
That's what I went with, yeah. So I got the right-handed maple on maple fretboard, 1 3/4 nut, which is my standard, boat neck, which is what I prefer on a telly, stainless steel 6100, the vintage style tuner reams, 22 fret, 10 to 16 a 10 to 16 compound radius, black dots, black side dots, white Corian nut, and the vintage tint satin nitro.
And that neck, let's see, $20 upcharge from, is that neck standard right now 157 or is it 171?
Yes, 157.
Or 177 plus the nut. I'm going to go with, before tax, was that guitar neck, I'm going to guess here, 281?
Well, don't forget the nitro.
Yeah. Okay. I don't remember what they charge for the satin nitro. I was thinking like $80. What do they charge for the nitro? Okay, I see 332.
I think it's 100 for the nitro.
Oh, it is? Okay. I thought for whatever reason the satin nitro on a neck was $80. I'm just guessing.
It's 20 for the 20 for the frets,
30 for the nut, right?
Right, something like that.
Okay. Yeah. Either way, it's just it's a guessing. But I mean, what's that going on now?
That's the shipping price included as well.
Yeah. What's that going on? And tax.
That's going on my Rebel Relic.
Okay, right. So, is the Rebel Relic really heavily reliced? Are you going to have to do a little bit of wacky stuff to that neck?
It's not heavily reliced, and I just don't care. No, I'm not going to do anything. I'm just going to let it wear out. It's a satin nitro neck, and if I play it a lot, it should wear nice.
Got it. Okay.
Yeah, I mean, it's so much more about the playability for me than trying to show that it's an old instrument. I mean, I love the way the body feels, and it's kind of has that vibe, but it's going to have the vintage tuners on it that are going to look worn and beat. And give me a couple of weeks playing it live, I'm sure I'll ding it into something, but whatever. It's it'll be great. It'll be a great change for me for that guitar because I just always thought that neck wasn't beefy enough.
Right.
And I like tellies to either have like a V, like a boat neck, or a fat neck, like the 1 inch, like the old 51 no casters.
Right. Yeah, understood.
And I went with 1 3/4, so that's a wide nut.
Yeah. Yeah, definitely. Does anybody in the electric guitar world produce a 1 3/4 inch nut standard? I feel like it's either always going to be 5/16. I'm sorry, 5/8 or 11/16.
Yeah, I don't think.
Really
Well,
curious.
Taylor does on the acoustics.
Right, but
Electric, no. Maybe Jackson.
yeah, I wonder. I don't. Yeah, I don't know. I don't think so. Nothing I can think of. There's
Yeah.
probably some off-brand that maybe does, or custom makers. But okay. Anyway, when's that guitar gonna be done?
Well, he put the logo. My guy put the logo on it. Well, the first thing I had him do, because I gave him the neck and the guitar and everything, but I gave him a Callahan string through bar.
Mm-hmm.
So he's changing out my Bigsby to put the string through bar in it so I can get rid of the posts. So that'll be easier changing strings. So that was the first thing he did. And then he called me and told me that the logo's on. He just has to spray it, let it dry, and then he'll take it back. And I'll probably have it by, my guess is Friday of next week.
You
I'll
doing a Fender logo on this one?
Yes. Yeah, I actually had the logo, so I was like, I'll just use this.
Okay, got it. All right, cool. Oh, I'm excited to see that. I'm curious.
Yeah, that'll be cool.
So, speaking of guitars, did you happen to watch Joe Bonamassa playing that EVH guitar this week?
I have not. What was that on?
It's just like Facebook or whatever. I saw
Oh,
he was on a stage somewhere, and he was wearing one of the EVH stripey guitars. I don't know, and he was ripping. And I feel like the guy. I mean, first of all, I've never heard a song from the guy that I've been interested in, and that's the way it is most of the time with these like insanely good guitar players. But I don't think I've really recognized his playing. Like I think you do. I think you know that he's a ripper, but I kind of
he's a
just
great
always thought he was
player.
I always just kind of thought he was a boring player, but dude, he was he was fucking ripping. I was just like,
Yeah.
Jesus. Start pulling out my collar. I'm getting nervous over here. the guy,
Yeah,
the guy
no,
was
he's a
very,
good
very
player.
good.
Yeah, no, that's one of my issues is with these players. You have these players that can play, and yet you can't get a song out of them.
Yeah. Well, I don't know. There's something about like the new blues. I'm gonna play new white guy blues. Like it's just so boring. You've
For
got
instance,
all this
yeah,
ability, and you're just freaking like playing the same old drivel. We know that it's gonna go from the 1 to the 4 to the 5. We know it. There's nothing new,
this sucks.
and it's like, come on, man, give me something different. Ooh,
Yeah,
but
I agree.
this time I'm gonna play the relative minor. I'm gonna go from the 1 to the 4, and then maybe I'll do the 6 to the 5.
Well,
We'll do something
you know
different. It's
what's
so
funny
dumb.
is Nile Rodgers claims that most of Chic music, other than 2 songs, is just a 1 to 4. Everything's a 1 to 4. And the genius of it is that you can make a 1 to 4 sound interesting with a great melody. You can make it a beautiful song. I mean, there's a ton of songs that are just 1 to 4. There's something that's about blues that it's not even about the 1-4-5 change, because I've told many people, I mean, AC/DC and other bands have also played a 1-4-5 change, and it's the fact that the melodies are just so uninspirational. It's like, oh, like I remember I went to a seafood restaurant not too long ago with my family, and they had a blues channel on. And I asked the waiter, I said, is there a way you could put some music on where I'm not hearing somebody just bitch and moan? Like, I got to hear piss and moan, right? Here's piss and moan. Oh, you took my car, bitch. Oh, I'm gonna complain. I got nothing going on in my life. It's like, what?
So then he turns on the punk rock channel, and you're like, huh, it's faster bitching and moaning.
Right. A lot of pissing and moaning going on in songs. But I think like the fun stuff, like when you listen to Nile Rodgers, the 1 to 4, you got good times. These are the good times. It's like you've got like it's just a lot of simple stuff, but it's really all if the melody drives the tune, you're all right. And guys like Bonamassa, like I'll tell you this. I'm really happy with the Winery Dogs as far as like I like seeing Richie getting recognized for being a good singer, a great player. And they are focusing a little bit more on accessible songs, not so much like watch us rip.
Mm-hmm.
And Paul Gilbert, I've watched many interviews with him, and Gilbert comes from the school of like where I grew up. I mean, I think he's a year or two older than I am, but he grew up on AM radio. When he was 10 years old, all the, Laughter in the Rain and Bread and Seals and Crofts, all that stuff was on the radio, and we grew up listening to those melodies. For me, and Paul, if you listen to his albums, it's real clever, melodic, fun stuff. He needs to get together with a guy who's a real songwriter that can put some of that together, and I think he would be one of the most known and financially well off because of the songs, if he could just get it together. Because I think he has fun. He's like stuck in almost parody land of where like Flexible is with Steve Vai.
Yeah, he's definitely goofy.
He's focusing on the goofy, whereas if you got somebody who's a songwriter with him and was like, hey, let's focus this, let's bring this to this, he could really be in a band where I think he would be one of the most, like a household name.
It's interesting that you bring that up about Paul and about being stuck in parody land. And, there are people who've managed to make a shitload of money being stuck in parody land. Brad Paisley is a hell of a ripper, and his songs are all super goofy.
But it's country.
Right, but he's worth a lot of dough.
But he's not all goofy. Whiskey Lullaby was a beautiful song written by Bill Anderson.
Yeah.
I forget the other guy's name who co-wrote it, so I don't want to leave him out. Jesse something, I forget his name.
Jesse the Body Ventura?
That was it.
Yeah.
But he also had some songs. What's that song? Something Saturday Night was a great song.
American Saturday Night. Yeah, but that's goofy to me as well.
But it's a party song, and it's in country. It's not a parody. It's not parody-esque. It's pop.
Yeah.
Those
songs things that we find funny.
No, but I'll Take You Back's a great song.
Yeah. All right, so what you're saying is he's mixing it up.
Well, he's playing. He's on he's getting it on the radio. I'm saying stuck in parody land is. When was the last time you heard a Paul Gilbert song on the radio?
Oh, not since probably 92 or something, right?
But I'm the one who wants to. Whenever that was on the radio, that was the last time Gilbert was on the radio.
Yeah, 91, 92, somewhere in that range. Yeah.
But what's that song Mr. Big goes 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 6, 6? What's the name of that tune? That's a great song.
No idea.
Yeah, the song by Paul Gilbert I was talking about is called "I Am Satan."
Yeah, I don't know when is that released.
It's on the album where he's playing. It's on the album where he's playing a piano on fire on the cover.
Oh yeah, I've seen the cover.
Yeah. But it's a hilarious song, and it's really clever and poppy, and in my opinion, could have been a radio hit. But there's something parody-ish about it, and it comes across as I don't know, fun and goofy. But then again, you could almost blame it on the radio as well because
blame it on the radio. Sorry. The yeah, I don't know.
He was good.
Blame it on the guys in suits who run the radio stations.
Yeah, I mean, radio's dead. Music's dead. Let's just get through that. I mean, it's really dead. YouTube is sort of the last bastion of finding music, going back to old music. I will say this, Sirius Satellite gets it. The people who aren't on Sirius yet don't understand how great Sirius is. But you can listen to 311 on Sirius. It's yacht rock.
Mm-hmm.
And it's like every song from like 72 to like 82, growing up listening to those songs. It's fantastic radio.
Yeah. So I was walking down my hallway the other night to take. So I live in an apartment building where we've got, like, basically on each side of the hallway, we've got 3 units.
Now, how tall are you again?
6'2".
So you weren't walking down the hall. You were just walking down the hall.
Here she comes, just walking down the street. Why is that so funny?
That's great.
It's so dumb. Are you insinuating that people, that our lovely Mexican neighbors of Oaxacan ancestry are not very tall?
The Oaxacan people are very short, yes.
This is true. Okay. So I'm walking down the hallway.
Just so people understand, when Bingham and I used to see somebody very short walking down the street, we'd be like, where are they Oaxacan to?
Oh, boy. It's true. It's true. Okay, so anyways, Jesus. I'm I'm walking down the hallway, and I hear like a party happening in one of the units, and it happens to be one where I know that the people that live there are like a younger couple. They're like mid-20s, and it's like a little party, and you hear a lot of laughing and stuff. I also hear the soundtrack to their laughter as I'm walking by, and they're all listening to the band. At least this particular track was the band. It was it Take a Load Off?
Fanny, The Weight.
Right, The Weight. And so it makes me wonder, you got all this new music that's out there that supposedly is very, very popular. Supposedly. But I gotta be honest, anytime I ever hear people like actually like listening to music, it's not the stuff that everybody tells me is popular. Like right. I don't hear this stuff like in any context ever. Like the number one song in the country for the last, 6 weeks or whatever has been this Riding on a Pony something or another song. I don't remember what the hell it's called. But it's a mashup of some rapper named Lil Nas and Billy Ray Cyrus.
Okay.
Like, where the fuck did Billy Ray Cyrus come from?
Right?
Like, he hasn't had a hit on the radio since Paul Gilbert had a hit on the radio.
Right.
Now, all of a
That's
sudden,
true.
he's involved in this awful song that is, oh, God, it's one of the worst songs you've ever heard.
Yeah,
you know what it's called? It's called Old Town Road.
Okay.
Yeah,
I never heard it.
You gotta give it a shot. Listen to it and tell me what you think. It supposedly is the number one song in the country.
I'm
curious
feeling
where the metric
I'm gonna
comes
like
from. I
the
never
old-
hear any of this.
I have a feeling I'm gonna like the old Valley Road better,
Ooh,
which I know you love.
I do for some odd reason. I haven't listened to that guy in a long time.
What was his name again?
Hornsby.
Yeah, Bruce Hornsby. For some reason, Bingham loves Hornsby.
I do. I don't know. I can't explain it.
I knew you love the old Valley Road. And listen to the man.
Oh, it's the best.
He was great. He actually was very good. But you know what's funny is I don't really care for the band, and I'll put Robbie Robertson's solo album from 1987, produced by Daniel Lanois, as in my top 50 albums of all time. I don't think you would see anything by the band in my top 500.
That's funny. You remember the other week I was mentioning Robbie Robertson of Broken Arrow fame? I refused to give him the band fame.
Right.
That was for the same reason.
Right. I mean, I like the song "The Weight." To me, it's very pedestrian. It's like people that listen to that song and like it. I'm like, I don't even get it. It's
I don't dislike it.
To me, it's like right up there with Michael Rowe, The Boat Ashore, Hallelujah. I mean, who cares? It's just horrible. It's just it's a simple walk down song that I think is boring. And I think if I want to hear walk down songs, I'd rather listen to All the Young Dudes. I'd rather listen to Changes, oddly enough, both written by David Bowie. I'd rather listen to Procol Harum's Whitest Shade of Pale.
Ooh, I do like that. If I'm on the road and that song comes on the radio, I might let it finish.
Oh,
I'm not
I
going to
would not.
I'm not going to keep it. I'm not going to keep twirling the dials in hopes to find Procol Harum because I doubt you'll hear it. Part of the problem with the radio and what I was talking about when you said radio is dead, and it's hard to disagree with. It's like the analytics have gotten so deep in the radio where they're just like, we're going to only play these same few songs over and over and over because we've discovered that user retention is maximized with these handful of songs and these handful of things, and that'll keep people listening to the commercials that we play on our station. And bear in mind, folks, the radio, the television, every single website that you like to visit, everything is built for the sole purpose of them to be able to sell the advertising to you.
I'm going to give you the perfect example. And I am not a fan of this band. And they're a big band amongst rock and roll folk, but The Who. I have never been a huge fan of The Who. However, that doesn't mean I don't love and appreciate some of their records and some of their singles. For instance, in LA, Behind Blue Eyes, Won't Get Fooled Again, and Bubba O'Reilly are played on the radio ad nauseum. Those three songs are on every 5 effing minutes. And it's like, to me, you couldn't pick 3 songs by The Who that I want to hear least. Now, if you take some of the old songs, like they had some great songs, like They Call Me the Seeker was a great tune. I even enjoyed Pictures of Lily. For the later stuff on the Who Are You album, I love New Song. I love Had Enough. I think there's some great songs on everything on Quadrophenia except for Love, Rain, or Me, which gets overplayed. But everything on that album's fantastic. They are refusing to play these great songs. Slip Kid. Slip Kid's a great song. You never hear it on the radio. Radio is now relegated to like, well, we're going to play these classic artists, and because there's so many of them now, we're going to play these 3 songs. And same with Tom Petty. For some reason, somebody thinks Mary Jane's Last Dance is a good song. It is not. I don't ever want. It sucks. Right.
Yeah,
there's so many great songs by Tom Petty. It is such an insult to never hear songs like Listen to Her Heart or Change of Heart or anything to do with a heart. Exactly. Instead, I've got to hear Mary Jane's Last Dance. I mean, what was the song too where it's he got us something in a roadie named Bart. What's the name of that song?
Into the Great Wide Open.
That song should never be on the radio. Petty has, and if it is on the radio, it should be.
I don't think that song is ever on the radio.
Oh, I used to hear it. Every 3 months that could come on the radio. There's so many songs off of Damn the Torpedoes alone and Hard Promises that there should be. How come Night Watchman? That should be on the radio. The Old King's Road. These are great. He had so many great songs, and that's why Sirius satellite radio destroys it. Even on, like, when you go to Pandora, and it's like, sometimes they hit you with the oddball song if you pick it, but it's like, I want to hear the songs. I mean, there are songs that were big when the record came out that you never hear anymore. Like,
I got rid of my Sirius XM radio. I couldn't listen to it. I had it for 2 cars, and whatever it is that they're doing with like their digital conversion and everything else sounded so bad in both of the cars that I had that I just said I can't listen to music on this anymore, and all I would use it for is listening to talk radio, so I got rid of it.
Well, it's just there's so many songs that are just not being played that are good.
Oh, totally.
Um, Emily and I were just talking about. I was playing her the Mavericks version of "All That Heaven Will Allow" by Bruce Springsteen on the Tunnel of Love album, and she was like, well, "I only remember Tunnel of Love." I'm like, "Well, because that's the only play now." So we went back and went through the record, and it was like "Brilliant Disguise" is on that album. "One Step Up" is on that album. But you never hear these records. They come out. There's some. I don't know if you're too young, but when in '86, when Peter Gabriel came out with "So," one of the first singles on that album was "That Voice Again."
Mm-hmm.
You ask anybody if they know the song today, they're going to be like, "What?"
No.
No. But it was the big song that when that album came out.
I'm sort of surprised that was the one off of that record that was chosen to hit the charts. I mean,
Well, there
every
was
song on that
bunch.
record's great,
Every song.
but
Every song.
that doesn't seem like the one. Maybe it's just for familiarity. I'm not sure, but I would have thought that the first two hits would have been "In Your Eyes" and "Red Rain." But like I said, that eventually those became the two that stuck off of that record, and it might just simply be because those are the two that I was most familiar with being on the radio.
Well, Sledgehammer.
Oh, right, sure. Great record,
And
man.
yeah, and Don't Give Up.
Yeah. But now I don't even know if, like you said, I don't know if radio matters anymore. You said a moment ago, radio's dead. And I think a lot of people now just do streaming service type stuff. Spotify's huge, Apple Music is big. And speaking of that, did you hear that they just dropped a new Tool song? It was like they're coming out with a record for the first time in 13 years.
No.
And all kinds of people on my feed are very excited about it for whatever reason. I've never been a huge Tool fan.
Yeah.
I gave it a fair shake. I listened to the song about 3 times. I just don't get it. I hear a lot of people referring to Tool as like, oh, well, it's progressive rock. You're not going to like it because it's progressive. And you know me, I love real progressive rock. Tool ain't real progressive rock.
I don't even think it's progressive at all.
I don't either. But some people who are in that camp, oh, it's progressive, that's why you don't like it. It's like, bro, I've been listening to progressive rock since I was 13, like real stuff. Right. And it sucks. It's boring. Adam Jones is the guitar player, right?
I no idea. I think I know Maynard in the band. That's it.
Right, and then Danny Carey's.
Danny Carey on drums for sure.
A lot of people like him. They think he's a real good.
Yeah, he's a fantastic drummer.
I'll say this: Adam Jones has really, really good guitar tone. I have a feeling I would like Tool a lot more if Maynard wasn't involved.
I'm with you 100%.
Yeah, I think Adam Jones is a good guitar player. Really, he has some neat sounding stuff, and the drummer is fantastic. But like, I get no excitement out of listening to Maynard. None.
Here's the issue, and I'm so glad you brought this up because this is a great thing to discuss, and I was thinking about doing a whole show on it anyway. Every band has a limited shelf life.
Yeah.
And whether that shelf life, there's reasons sometimes why that shelf life is. So let's take a look at some bands that had long shelf lives. The Rolling Stones came out in the 60s and were a good band.
Mm-hmm.
In the 70s, they changed and became much more of the bad boy rock and roll band, and they were fantastic. In the 80s, they were getting older, and they lost touch as to what was cool. And it was much more, they were like trying to keep current and keep fresh, which I think is the wrong dragon to chase. You know what I mean? They're trying to be fresh instead of do what you do. When they made their comeback in the late 80s, they went back to doing what they did, and it was a continuation. And since then, they've put out consistently good records. Voodoo Lounge is a fantastic album. Bridges to Babylon's good. You had bands like the Beatles that were great, and the Beatles were great for a few reasons. Mainly, you had 3 guys in the bands vying for putting songs together. And I think if you took the 70s collection of Lennon songs, like say you took Lennon's best songs, 30 best songs from the 70s up to 1980, McCartney's 30 best songs from the 70s up to 1980, and a few Ringo songs and maybe 20 Harrison songs, you would have 10 fucking great Beatles albums in the 70s. But you put them over all those guys who put out, 10 to 13 albums each, you have a lot of filler.
Right,
and
of course.
and they write more and more stuff. And I just think like that people had a window. Tool, for me, since you brought up Tool, had a window of one album. Whatever album has Sober and Prison Sex, I was like, those songs.
It was called Undertow.
Undertow. The record Undertow is the perfect mix of where Maynard was sellable to me.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm not a fan of Maynard, but when I heard that album, I'm like, as much as I don't care for this guy, I dig this. And that's hitting lightning in a bottle. And what bands, when you think of Dream Theater, talking about a band that you listen to that's a real progressive band. I mean, that's prog rock. I mean, they had like a really short window of being outstanding.
Yeah, I don't even know if they ever were. They were different for what they were doing. Anyway, no, I totally get it. I think in general you've got a couple of records you can per band. Me and my buddy Dave Tate used to always have this conversation where in general we'd kind of agree that your typical band has a shelf life of a maximum of 7 years. Typical band. Now you're gonna have a lot more bands that exceed that or whatever, but in general,
I think a lot more that underperform.
Absolutely, but I think your typical band that people think of as being like, wow, these guys were really good. You get 7 years. You look at Metallica, for example. I think Kill 'Em All Through the Black album was basically 7 years, maybe 8 years. After that, they're nothing special. Megadeth, you could say 86 to 94 was their prime, if you will.
I'd just take the best. I'd take the Megadeth with just
if you're doing okay, well then you're saying 90 to 97. Still 7-year window.
Right. Yeah, but let's take a look at Judas Priest, 1980 to 82. I'm serious.
Right.
3 albums.
Van Halen with Van Halen exceeds it, but with Roth, you get 77 to 84, right?
78
to 84, and then with Hagar, if you really want to talk about the stuff that was still pretty popular and still good, that all ends in 92, right?
Yeah, 86 to 92, basically.
Right, so you're still limited into that time frame. That time frame is kind of oddly strong. There are bands. I
think it's usually shorter. Like
I'm sure it is.
Sometimes it's even just by albums. If you look at the Who, to me, the Who was in a stride from 71 to 78. Just 7 years.
Yeah, exactly.
And then to me, like Face Dances is okay. You had Zeppelin 69 to 79.
It's better, you bet.
Yeah, I mean that album is like, but again, it has a lot to do with who the audience is and where they are in their life and when they drop out. Because if you took a band like let me see, like if you took a band like for me, Judas Priest. 1980, I'm really getting into hard rock. British Steel comes out, and that album is not a heavy metal album. I don't care what anyone calls heavy metal today. That's a hard rock album. British Steel's a hard rock album. It was heavy metal for its day. It was it was called heavy metal back then, but in today's standard of music, that's really a hard rock record. 81, even less hard. The Point of Entry album. 82, we're in Screaming for Vengeance. And now we're into like sort of getting to metal. The sound is fantastic. The songs are great. they came up with the cliche of taking a saying like "You've got another thing coming," which is an old saying that somebody would say in anger, and they made a song out of it, right? Then the album in '84, they basically were like, "How can we repeat the last album?"
Right.
So they produced it the same exact way. They have their cliche saying, "Some heads are gonna roll." It's like, come on. What are we going to do now? We're going to go look at every cliche that someone says and make a hit song out of it?
Don't throw the baby out with the bathwater.
Exactly. Right? It's like so ridiculous. And the album is not good. It really isn't a good record. If you listen to the songs, most of the songs are unpalatable and they're cheesy. And as a listener, I was turned off. Now, to be fair, 82 was Screaming for Vengeance. 83, Iron Maiden comes out with Peace of Mind.
Oh wait, that was next album. 2 albums down the line. Boy, my timeline's confused.
Peace of Mind opens up with where Eagles Dare.
Yeah.
Phenomenal. The whole record, Peace of Revelation, Flight of Icarus. Now there's a new heaviness around, and it's like the sound is raw. It's a little bit more aggro and angry. And then Judas Priest follows up with a wimpier album than Screaming for Vengeance, but just doing more of the same. To me, they were trying to capture what they captured on Screaming for Vengeance instead of trying to just be themselves. And I think that is the demise of a lot of artists where, certain artists are going to grow, and you listen to Peter Gabriel and it's like, when he did the first album in the Windshield there with Salisbury Hill, it was still very Genesis sounding, but his sound evolved as he
Absolutely. Yeah.
I don't think he was chasing a sound as much as he was forming that sound.
I appreciate the fact that somebody like Peter Gabriel wasn't just releasing records on like a record company timeline. He was just putting out albums when he had material that he was happy with. Like, what was the space between Us and So? That was like, 5 years? Maybe 6 years?
No, 4 years or 5 years.
It was a while.
Yeah, I think it came out in 90 for some, or maybe 92. And
So
was 86.
Us. I like Us. I think it's a good record.
Us is a great album. I saw that tour. I went to that show. He was great. But what I'm saying is there's so many people chase that sound that they try to do. And it's like...
you become a formula. 92.
It was
92 for us.
So 6 years, yeah.
6 years. No, but no, I hear you. It's a formula. Sometimes it works. I remember... do you remember? Okay, Bon Jovi's a great example of this. Bon Jovi went through that dead period where grunge took over and they were not cool anymore. Like I think New Jersey was the last album they had in the 80s that was getting airplay. And then they released a handful of other things like in the early 90s through the mid 90s that was not getting any attention because the whole scene was dead.
But let me just say this. But Bon Jovi, when New Jersey came out, wasn't it just part 2 of Slippery When Wet? It sounded like the same record to me. In fact, if you told me songs that are on either one, I wouldn't even know.
Okay.
I just thought people were bored by the album after New Jersey. Is it going to be another New Jersey? Is it going to be another?
Yeah, maybe I don't know. But what I remember is them like getting radio play with like "Shot Through the Heart," "You're to Blame," which was New Jersey, and "Blood on Blood," "One on One," all that sort of stuff. So then there's nothing from them for a while until all of a sudden they come out with that song that goes "Wow Wow." Boo doo 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 doo. Wow wow. You know the one. It was like
"Have a Nice Day."
Yeah, it was like they did a remake.
This is a song for the broken heart.
That's it. Wow wow. Right, so what they did is they said our career's freaking dead. Let's take "Living on a Prayer" and make it again. Yeah. And all of a sudden they're on the radio again. They've got a formula that put them back there. And everything that they've released that's gotten any radio play since has been that same song over again. They haven't done anything new, but that's it. They found a formula, and it sucks.
It does.
And because it sucks, U.S. radio will play it.
But I will say, over the years, like, there's some songs like Always, which I think is a great song. I think John's a good writer, and I think they do some nice stuff. However, their window for me is very short. I think, like, if you took a band like Soundgarden.
Great band. Great record.
I'll tell you, the genius of Chris Cornell was seeing that window, that Down for the Upside, they were never going to do Super Unknown again.
Down for the Upside had such great stuff on it too,
but it's nowhere near as good as Super Unknown. Super Unknown, there is
Follow me into the desert.
Really
freaking amazing song.
But Ty Cobb's not that good. A Burden in My Hand, Blow Up the Outside World's a good song. There's probably like 4 or 5 good songs, and there's 7 duds. Yeah. On Super Unknown, there isn't a bad song. The whole record's, and I think Cornell knew that. It's like, we are now less than what the last record was, and we're gonna keep going till we build to the, it's pretty stoic. There's some bands that have done that have quit at their height, and it was like, oh, that was pretty good. And then some bands, like, I mean, the hair bands, they were kind of handed their own ass, but I mean, there's no way in hell somebody's going to sit there and tell me that if grunge didn't come along, that fucking Rat would have been improved. I mean, Rat was already doing Way Cool Jr.
Yeah.
I mean, Invasion of Your Privacy was probably their last good record. And they had one great record before that. But I mean, if you look at like Iron Maiden is one of those bands that consistently put out at least good albums. They're not all great, but they're good.
You know who had a real short window of success? Jimi Hendrix and Randy Rhoads.
Yeah, they got so lucky. They did.
They got lucky.
They got lucky. They got cut down in the height of their career.
They got dead. Right.
You know what I mean? They got cut down at the height of their career. You got no. I'm not. I don't even think it's funny. I'm saying they got cut down at the height. Yeah, they got cut down at the height of their career, and it's like, what are you gonna do? I mean, you look at guys like, you know what I heard last night was Cocaine by Clapton, which I haven't heard in a long time, but the DJ was playing it between sets. That lead guitar tone in that song might be the worst guitar tone I've heard on a record. The lead solo that he plays on that, and then there's where he switches and like you can hear like they sound like a change of amps. It's recorded terrible, and I think it was Tom Dowd. It stinks.
Interesting.
But like Clapton's one of those guys. Clapton had a window of a few albums from like 77. Wasn't that the Slow Hand, whatever, or the album that has the core? What is that? Slow Hand. Mm-hmm. Slow Hand, and maybe the album after that. And then kind of nothing for a bit. And then August was a great album. Journeyman was a great album. And then the rest of his career has been shit.
And I'm not hear that Anthony. You ever heard that Anthony Jeselnik joke about Eric Clapton?
No.
It's so rotten. Just look up Anthony Jeselnik.
All right, I'll look it up. I know it's bad if you won't say it.
Oh, it's really bad. It's fantastic, but yeah. Anyway.
But the thing about it is just I'm saying these people have a limited window, and why? Like why? I went off on Bob Dylan on one of my things, and because people still talk to him about him, and when you ask him to say, well, what good was he? And they'll bring back something he did 40 years ago. The guy's still alive. He's still making music. It just sucks. But no one wants to, I mean, and I'm a huge Tom Waits fan. But my window for Tom Waits is from 1975 to like 1983. And after that, I'm done. It's like I don't relate so much, and not to say that Real Gone is a great record, and there's some fantastic songs on it. But there's albums before it and albums after it that I think are not so good. And Aerosmith too. All these bands, they have like great windows. I just think like when they put on a record, do they not listen to it and be like,
yeah, this conversation could hypothetically go on forever. We could mention every great band because everybody's got one. But yeah. Anyway, what's going on this week? Because I got to get myself wrapped up over here. I got a rehearsal today, and then I'm shooting a video tonight.
Oh, you have a rehearsal. What's the rehearsal today for?
Elvis.
And you must have a ton of gigs lined up with them.
I have one more. Yeah.
A what?
Yeah. I'm taking a back seat on that gig. It takes up so much time.
You're gonna focus more on your current new employment position.
I'm gonna do that, and I'm gonna focus a little bit more on the Pork Chop Express gig, which is one that I do with the hard rock covers. Yeah, it kind of comes down to just like that decision being made of like, I only have so much free time as like a full-time, employed person with children and all that. And how do I want to spend it? Do I want to spend it like completely doing artistic stuff that satisfies, the other group of people, or something that I'm more interested in doing? So it really comes down to just that. Yeah. So,
yeah, no, I mean,
yeah, no offense to those guys. It's a super fun band. It's just, I've had several band meetings
in the last few months where I'm talking about either this gig starts being fun for me.
Dave Levine, Prisant?
Prisant? Yeah. Oh my God, I just watched that the other night. Jermaine?
I haven't seen it in years. I would really like to.
You know what? Do you have HBO?
And Meeting. Yeah, I do.
You can watch it right on your computer. You can go to HBO Go. If you have HBO, just sign in and I watch it. It's great.
That's funny.
Anyway, Jermaine? Oh, yeah, like Fleetwood Mac. Like a love triangle like Fleetwood Mac, except they had 4, so that would be a love square. Murray's unbelievable.
Yeah, it's been a while. I'm gonna go back to it now that I know it's on HBO Go. I'll look it up.
Yeah,
because that must be that's 15 years old, right?
What's that?
15 years old. It's got to be
2007 to 2009.
Oh, okay. Yeah. All right. 13 years old.
Yeah.
Very good. So yeah. So that's what's going on there. But I got to do that, and then tonight I'm shooting a video. I'm gonna going over my buddy Chris's house, and we are going to do a taste test of all these Wampler pedals that I've got here. So I've got a bunch of drive pedals from them that I've not really heard before, and I want to do it a little differently. Everybody always puts out these videos that's like the which one do you like better comparison, where it's like A versus B, and everybody turns it into a freaking contest of which one's better. I just want to do a taste test.
That's for one reason. You know what that reason is? That's called clickbait. They just want people to comment, because the more comments, the more it draws into the. Right. It's so horseshit. Just make the pedal sound the best that you can make it sound, or you think it sounds good, and then people get an idea. Nobody ever. We're going to start at noon. Why don't you just start with the thing sounding good? Who gives a shit what noon sounds like? Yeah, I hate that.
I totally agree. But I got 6 of them here. I've got a Plexi Drive Deluxe. Let me see if I can remember. Plexi Drive Deluxe. I've got Tumnus, which is like their Klon pedal.
Yeah.
I've got the Pantheon, which is their BB style pedal.
It is a Marshall Blues Breaker.
Yeah, something called the Euphoria, something called the Sovereign Distortion.
So the Euphoria, I believe, is their clone of a Dumble thing, isn't it?
I think so.
It's their Dumble pedal.
I think so. Yeah, it's
and the Sovereign is their what's their Sovereign? Is that the it's based on an amp.
It's the DS1 clone. No, I'm just kidding. I don't know what it is. I'm gonna check it out.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, we'll check it out. We'll just play around with them a little bit and give people.
Well, let me see if Rusty's excited about that. Rusty, you excited about that?
Oh, for God's sake!
You can tell I'm watching way too much Uncle Doug.
That's funny.
You see, Uncle Dougie was like, well, I have to go into the emergency room to get a skin graft for burning my fingers. That tube is running too hot. He's hysterical.
Oh, that's funny as hell. No, I haven't seen it. He's releasing new videos?
Oh, he also did a video of a Marshall where he opens up a Marshall and then he compares it to the Baseman. And basically it is just a Baseman clone.
Yeah.
2 things changed on it. He shows the changes on it, but Leo really did design every amp. People love to give credit to Marshall, but really it's just a modded Baseman.
Yeah, I think you still deserve some credit for that. You know, Fender
Yeah, perhaps.
designed the platform, but Marshall turned it into rock and roll.
Yeah, maybe. I mean, wasn't Jeff Beck playing Basemans already? And maybe he put a 12AX7 in the tube slot instead of a 12AY7. There's one of your changes.
How long was Jeff Beck's shelf life?
Did he ever have one?
I don't think so.
No, I mean, Jeff Beck Group from that first album with the Jeff Beck Group is a really good album. Blow by Blow and Wired are good records. I mean, people put him on a pedestal, and you know, I like, what's the song by the Yardbirds? Over, Under, Sideways. What is that?
I don't know.
When I hear that song, all I hear is everything in Jeff Beck's career, because I hear him do that in the Beck's Bolero, Angel Footprints, which is like 20, 30 years later. But I hear that common tone thing that he does in that Yardbird song throughout his whole career.
Over, Under, Sideways, Down. I'll listen to it in the car.
Yeah, check it out. All right, very good, everybody. Have a great day. John, have a good one. Have a good rehearsal.
Catch you later.
All right, sounds good.
You're listening to Guitar Talk with Dave and John.